Hello everyone, welcome. It's that time of the year again where you have to pull out your spoony hat and scream. So, Final Fantasy. I've played Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 4. And I've went up and down through the series, obviously to, play them all and such. And I know a lot of us who've played Final Fantasy for a long time been in a bit of a dark spot these years. But I have some positive things to report. If you really didn't like any of the Final Fantasy 13s, I thought the first one was average, second one, unbalanced version of the first one, and the third one...
Each cadet will act within an independent group, under the instruction of a commanding officer.
So you're saying that we'll be acting...
I don't even know what to say about the third one. It could hands down be the worst Final Fantasy. I mean, and you gotta keep in mind, I actually give a few bounty points to Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which a lot of people always like to wage is the worst Final Fantasy game ever, so... personally, a lot of times I've considered Final Fantasy 2, the original 2, not 4.
It is in our best interest.
One of the worst Final Fantasies, just because it has a completely batshit system that doesn't work very well. I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but it doesn't work as well as it does in actual Saga games. But little detouring far off you. Point is, if you hated all the 13 games, you might actually want to check out Type 0. So what is Type 0? Well, this is an HD version of a PSP game. Now, first thing most people would probably always say, looking at the price point of this game, is it's $60, and this is an HD version of a PSP game. Yeah, it seems a little pricey. You do have to keep it in mind for us English people, though, that, they have to redub, pay for actors and stuff, and translate the game. So the artwork looks very nice. It's still kind of generic with, another person just standing there. And it's not even showing the other people. You start out with an entire class of characters playing, so you're kind of hogging on the space. You don't get anything. If you got a Day 1 edition, though, you do get a demo voucher for Final Fantasy 15. But aside from that, you don't get anything. The inside does not have a reversible cover, so it's, pretty standard for most new games. So if you want the demo, look for one that says Day 1 Edition on it. This seems to be a very common thing this gen's games are doing, is these Day 1 Editions make, the item more collectible or something, I don't know. It's probably going to be weird to see Day 1 Editions, 10 years in the future will be going on Amazon for $200 or something stupid like that, but I can see it. Anyway, we've been detouring, get back on topic. So, back on topic, Final Fantasy Type 0 was originally a PSP game. It got really good reviews in Japan, while the 13 games were a lot more accepted in Japan. They did receive pretty harsh criticism, like they did in America, but they were a lot more accepted in Japan. I heard 13 Lightning's Return actually got pretty bad in Japan too, so. But Type 0 actually got a lot of good reviews, so a lot of people figured, hey, it seemed common sense, it'd come over to America, right? Well, no. Supposedly there was some song that for some reason really closely related to the game. They couldn't get the right, and this has not been confirmed. This is all speculation, like why Earthbound took so long to be on the virtual console kind of shit. But supposedly there was some song they couldn't get the permission to use worldwide and stuff, and some shit like that. I don't even know if that song's in this version either, so I don't know. It was never confirmed, so nobody really knows the real reason why. People have obviously also threw out there that the PSP was dying in America. It was hacked like shit, bombed, pirated at that point in time, so maybe Square Enix just felt like it wasn't even worth the time. Who knows? But anyway, the game. Let's get on topic. Stay on topic. So the game has its ups and downs. I mean, of course, it's limited by its original design from being on a PSP, like you can't jump or that. But I'm really actually enjoying the combat in the game. It kind of reminds me of just a small sprinkle of the Souls games. Basically, there's these moments when enemies finish an attack that you can attack for critical damage or even instantly kill them. So it actually encourages you to be a little more timely in how you attack the enemy as opposed to spamming the attack button, killing every fucking thing in the world. Enough of me flailing. But you could turn it easy and essentially just, flail like a hack and slash, but you could crank up the difficulty more and more. Well, it's a more life and death situation where you actually have to rely on that. So there's actually an interesting element to the combat, though. Another element is, as far as I can tell, there's no way to revive people on a mission. You go on missions. It does suffer a little of RPG hub-itis. As anyone who's probably watched my channel for a long time knows, I hate RPGs that do a super hub system where you basically have a room that you live in forever, and then you go to another boxed room to do something, and return that room. It does suffer a little of that. Being a portable game, I mean, that's where usually a lot of these came from, is portable games. That's one way to get around, not having tons of space in there. But it doesn't suffer from it so much that it bothers me so far. But it does have a little bit of it. But also what's really shocking, that really shadowed that initial thought of that, was there's actually a world outside the fucking school! I mean, when's the last time you've seen a modern RPG fucking let you roam the world? Not fucking ... Like, Dragon Quest probably was the last fucking modern game I played that actually had a world outside fucking towns. Yeah, actually, Dragon Quest 9 probably was the last fucking game I've seen with an actual world outside. Where you can travel down to different towns and places and that. But there's actually a fucking world outside of school. Now, sadly, towns and that kind of take a hit from it, though. Most of the towns I've been to are very generic, very small, and about one screen with half dozen NPCs that have maybe a store and some quests and stuff like that. So, in general, I mean, it makes some cuts to things, but there's actually a world to explore, a forest to roam through and things. It just seems so shocking to even see it. I mean, oh man. But there's no... Man, I was talking about the revive thing and I went off topic. I just stealing off control, really. There was no way to revive your characters until the mission's done and you go back to school, and as far as I can tell is how the reviving system and healing and that generally goes. There are healing points on mission that you can find here and there. But generally the idea is that you have a whole class of people. You choose 3 of them. 1 you control and 2 of them aid you. You can switch between those 3 during combat and that. And the idea is basically, if they fall, one of the other students need to take their place. Now, you might ask, why can't I just choose the same 3 characters and just fucking, rush through the whole game like that? Well, you'll end up with how I ended in Final Fantasy XII at the end, where my good characters got killed, and I had to bring in one of my shitty characters that were massively underleveled to come in and try to revive those people and that. And I pulled it off, but it was really, oh my goodness, I'm about to die in the middle of a fucking final boss kind of moment thing, And believe me, I did initially try that because I wanted to see if it was possible. But unless you massively overlevel, I don't think you're going to be able to really pull that off very easily. Because you're really encouraged to even kill your leader occasionally. Basically, how you summon the Eidolons, you have to sacrifice the main character you're controlling at the time to control an Eidolon. So on mission, you just killed that person to control an Eidolon temporarily for massive damage and power. So even if you did that, if you want to use Eidolons, you have to kill someone regardless. So You might want to at least bump that up to your top 6 people at least, but strategically it's probably a better idea to make sure everyone gets decently leveled up to at least a somewhat manageable system. And you got a lot of fighting styles to choose from. Every single character has their own fighting style and their different tools. You got people who are dual-wielding guns. You got a guy with a samurai sword. You got a guy who's using cards. You got a fucking guy who uses a lance. I like the guy who uses the lance, by the way. I mean, you got long range, close range. You got a lot of different skills and shit. It's pretty impressive, actually, considering this was a PSP game. Be honest, again, I have to wonder, why the fuck didn't this come to America? I would have enjoyed the living shit out of this game. I will really enjoy it. Graphically, now, of course, this being an HD, you know, upscale version of that, what's the graphics look like? Well, I mean, even me, somebody who commonly says I don't really care about graphics too much, can easily tell, you know, obviously it's not using the full potential of the PS4. But it gets the job done, in my opinion. But, you know, if your PC graphical, huge scale stuff, you know, I'm sure it will probably bother you and drive you crazy. But I'd say it's okay. It definitely doesn't look like a PSP game. It looks better than a PSP game, but it certainly doesn't look like a PS4 game. And of course, keep in mind, I am playing the PS4 version, obviously, and it is available on the Xbox One, which I would assume might have small minor differences, maybe. But then again, like I said, it ain't using the full power of the PS4, so there's probably not much of a difference, really. Music. I like the music so far. It's pretty nice. I can't remember who did. It's not our usual good Final Fantasy, I haven't said his name in a long time. I'm not going to even butcher his name. I'm not going to butcher his name. But point is, the music's okay. It's probably the guy who did the Final Fantasy 13 music, because he's been doing a lot of music mostly. But music, I actually enjoy the music. There's a few tracks I really like. They have a very up-spirited, combat-y kind of thing. It's like, we are winning, oh man, kind of feeling to it. That so it's actually very chewy in that regard in combat. But the story is not chewy at all. Some people have labeled Type 0 the most violent-looking Final Fantasy game ever. Debatable. I mean, if we're talking about pure blood and graphics, then yeah, I could see that, because the 13 games did not focus a lot on blood stuff for that happening when they fought. There is a lot of cutscenes with a lot of fucking blood and death in this game, but isn't really the most violent. I mean, like I said, if we're just talking about graphically, yeah, because a lot of the violence that happened in a lot of the older games on 16-bit and shit, you know? I mean, you have Final Fantasy VII, Popeye Sailor Man. So, I mean, you couldn't take it as seriously in a way, you could say. So, I mean, that's a debatable opinion, in my opinion. But it is very violent-y. It does revolve around the world. Basically, you live on a continent with some other peeps and that. And one of these countries, they just decide, you know, fuck it. We're gonna go kill some people, take over the world kind of shit. So they invade the Mage Town and fucking try to fuck it up. But instead, you fuck them up, and it's off the wall. Now, it is important to note that this actually does take place in the Final Fantasy XIII universe. I think it's a prequel, but I'm not 100% sure. But it does have Lyseed and all that shit in it. However, it seems a lot more interesting and explained a little bit more. Sadly, the game does have this history mode thing, which I'm sure is going to work a lot like the... I can't remember what it was called. The dab pad thing you looked in 13 for lore and backstory and shit. So I feel like the game's probably going to suffer the same problem. Well, they didn't stuff a lot of that stuff within NPCs and the world and the environment. Instead, just this thing you need to go beat. But hey, it's still better than Destiny in that regard. But Type Zero probably ain't gonna win over the old Final Fantasy people. But I can tell you, if you hated all the 13 games, like I said, I would think you would enjoy Type Zero more, at least. It's not perfect, obviously. And, you know, I've only played... I'm not sure how many hours. I think maybe like 2-3 hours. I'm at like chapter 2, I believe, in the game. But so far, it doesn't seem super complex on normal. But like I said, you can probably crank the difficulty up, where you have to focus more on those critical hits and that. So it offers some options and such. So overall, I'd have to say I recommend it if you hated a lot of the recent Final Fantasy games, because I've been enjoying it a lot. I mean, I think the story is going to end up in kind of an obvious direction, but that's still yet to be seen, because this is the first portion. And while we're on that, actually, the voice acting I didn't really talk about. I think the voice acting's actually pretty decent. Obviously, you know, there's going to be people who probably will nitpick the different people, but I think the voice actors are alright, but... you know, that's all. So anyway, the big question here is it worth $60? I mean, it is an upscaled version of the game, but it's also limited towards how the PSP played in that. So, I mean, they didn't, you know, update like the ability to jump or anything. You know, they didn't reprogram any of that. It has all its functionality from the PSP game here. Is it worth $60? That's debatable. I mean, like I said, you gotta keep in mind they had to translate, redub it in English and that, so obviously the money is going to pay for something. But if you don't see it that way, you know, it depends. It's a tricky question. I'm also feeling the game might be really short, because I'm all the way in Chapter 2 and that. And a lot of the trophies are actually pretty easy so far. I got a lot of trophies, but not really trying so far. So, I'm kind of... But, oh, there actually is another thing to talk about. I got actually two things. One thing gameplay related, and one thing's about PS4 functionality stuff. There's actually a kind of a Suikoden kind of war mode in the game. And if you played any of the Suikoden titles, you probably know what I'm trying to get at, is each game has had this kind of mini tactics or rock, paper, scissors kind of war game in them. First one was rock, paper, scissors. The second, third one used it a very tactics style and that. This kind of has one. It's not as good in my opinion, but it's okay. I mean, generally you take over cities and you tell those cities where to send their troops, trying to complete the objective. I've only done one of these. It doesn't involve so much of your RPG stuff that it's just kind of a weird little mini game. It's okay. Like I said, I only did one so far though, so I don't know if there's going to be a lot of problems, if they're going to get really hard, really easy. It's kind of But it's a fun little war thing that was okay for the first one. And PS4 functionality. So, the Xbox One and the PS4, you know, have recording capabilities and stuff and that. And I have not experienced this until this game, and I was actually interested. There are all games all the way out that do this. I just don't own any of them yet. Well, you can block scenes, mute stuff, and that. The publisher or developer can decide to do these things. Program the game to not allow you to stream a certain scene, to record a certain scene and such. And sadly, that is in this game. I've only encountered it once, and it's during a cinematic scene where someone's dying at the beginning of the game. And I'm assuming it's because of the music, but I don't know for sure. I will tell you, if you put it on YouTube, I have a dummy account that I test this stuff on. The tile and video will be muted because of that song. On Twitch, it brought up a thing saying it was blocked while I was streaming it because they forced like Owl I played on Twitch. But that will mute the entire video on YouTube, like everything, even me talking. The entire video was 100% muted, and I did try the remove option, and it couldn't remove the song and remained horribly muted. Now, I do not know if this video I'm going to put gameplay in it or not. This will probably be a delayed video because of this, but I will be trying out clips, see what allows me to use or not. Worst case scenario I'm thinking is it'll be just muted gameplay. Best situation is, you'll get to see gameplay with its sound effects, hopefully. And, well, obviously the worst case scenario is absolutely none. But you'll basically, if it's none, then Square Enix won't allow it, period. If, you see some, then I was able to squeeze in somehow. So, you and me will only know when this video is actually up on what goes on now. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Type 0. If you have any other questions or anything about the game, please leave a comment down below. And if you already got the game, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it stands up to be a memorable Final Fantasy title? Or do you think it's as shameful as some of the recent entries? You know what I'm talking about, Lightning's Return. I don't like you. Return to the abyss. Look. Lightning's Return. I don't know. I just don't know. What oh. Until next time. Praise the sun. See you on your autumn. Get blood echoes. And don't die.
Good luck. Leave it to me.
Why did they
I
make
got
Lightning's
this one.
Return?
Class Hero disabled the defenses? Excellent. This is 756 Company. We've made our way inside. We'll take care of any stragglers.
you proud. Good luck. Leave it to me. Time to sit out. I got this one. Hey!
How did they make it this far?
Yeah! Hey! Yeah!
Advance!
Hey! I'll make you proud. Not yet. Good luck. Leave it to me. Time to sit out. I got this one. Hey!
presence inside the base. Class Zero, head there at once. Hold on. Schmitz has come out on his own accord. Something is up.
Kupo?
So, they don't call them demons for nothing, I see. Move out! All battle-capable soldiers, forward! Not yet. Have to save as many men as possible.
Kupo?
No, I can still...
To the right!
Surround them! To the Militesi Empire!
Base interior secured. We have successfully retaken Togoret's stronghold. The main army will now pursue the remaining Imperial forces. Class Zero, you... What happened? Respond! Where did that emergency transmission come?
What the?
White Thunder is headed for Togoret.
Good. Now we just need them to wait until he gets there, as General Kator planned. Inform the troops in Togoret.
Sir! Attention, all troops in Togoret! This is Kusabi!
You can get away with this!
All together!
ready. You're going to help me test this new model.
Red team, I'm coming for you. Prepare to face me, Red Demons.
Sorry about that. Class Zero, you have a new mission. An unknown Magitech armor is moving quickly northwest of the base. It is preventing us from pursuing the retreating Imperial troops. We need you to take care of the unidentified Magitech armor immediately.
Show me what you can do. Saw that coming. Saw that coming.
The weather has turned against us. With this rain, charge spells won't be very effective. Lightning magic will be more effective.
She won't last.
Mission accomplished.
It's time. Your actions will also face reprisal.
Only again if you survive.
Coward!
I expected more of a fight.
It's right there! Come on! Come on! Come on! Faster! Come on, run! I'm detecting a Lassie in the Togreth stronghold! It's a White Tiger Primus Lassie!
Not surprising. Contact all units headed inside the
Call
stronghold.
sign red! Headed for the Toggereth stronghold!
Impossible! A head-on collision?
What in the world is the crystal trying to do?
Order all units to retreat!
Emergency transmission. Lord Shiryu is headed your way. If you're hearing this, fall back immediately. I repeat, withdraw from the front line at once.
So that's the Vermilion Bird Lassie.
Guardian of the White Tiger Crystal. Tell me, is this the focus you have been given?
I have naught to say.
I see.
Although the Battle of Togoreth was definitively won by the Allied forces of Rubrum and Concordia, what was to be the first clash between Lassie in 500 years resulted in the obliteration of Rubrum's proud city of Togoreth from Orience.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Is it true the Dominion is using a l'Cie in battle as well?
Yep. I heard that's why the operation at Togoreth failed.
Then the rumors that Togoreth was wiped out?
It's true.
Unbelievable. He won't raise havoc here, will he?
As long as the crystal's under military control, the l'Cie can't do anything. Don't worry.
But you never know what l'Cie are think...
I only came to check on your status. Resume your duties.
Yes, sir.
Engine 9's output is stable. Its patterns still don't match Circuit 7 exactly, but I believe we can get them closer.
That should be sufficient for supplying power to the prototype. What's the status on the link?
There's still a few issues before it can be controlled for an extended period.
I'll send some engineers from the Steelworks. Fix it immediately.
Yes, sir.